Hey guys, today I'll be giving my thoughts on Star Wars The Bad Batch. This video is unscripted, but I'm still gonna make it sound as professional, I guess, as possible. We'll see if that actually ends up happening or if I just go on rants, but we'll see. So first off, I'm pretty sure if you're here on my review, then you probably know what this is, so I probably don't need to explain it. But just in case you don't know, Star Wars The Bad Batch is the sequel to Star Wars The Clone Wars. It's an animated show loved by many people. I for one, thought it was a good show. I'm not one of those crazy diehard Clone Wars fans who's, like, I haven't watched even every episode, but I do have knowledge of these characters. So going into this, I actually wasn't too excited. I don't get me wrong. I was as excited as pretty much everyone else to see the world right when the Empire came into formation. That was an exciting concept, but the Bad Batch never really grabbed my attention. They just seemed kind of boring to me. So when it was announced that it was following them, I wasn't too excited. But, with that being said, I've watched the episodes week to week, and I have to say, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good show. So this review is just gonna be me, telling you all the things I liked about it, all the things I disliked about it, all the things I absolutely despised about it, which aren't many, but there's still some stuff there. So yeah, at the end, I'll put this on a tier list with all the other Star Wars projects to see where it kind of fits in with everything else. So yeah, without further ado, I guess let's begin the first segment. Okay, so first up is Hunter. I really liked Hunter in this show. He was my second favorite character, I'm pretty sure. His dynamic with Omega was surprisingly well done. The two mixed together really well, with Hunter both trying to think practical and think uh, trying to think with kindness, because that's all Omega is. I'll get to Omega later because I have a lot of mixed feelings about her. But yeah, I really liked Hunter. I actually thought that he was gonna die in the finale, but he didn't. So yeah. Now, one of my biggest problems with this show was, despite it being about the Bad Batch, it felt like most of the Bad Batch crew was sidelined a lot at times. It feels like the story was revolving around three characters, primarily to me. That being Hunter, Omega, and Crosshair. Wrecker, Tech, and Echo feel sidelined. Wrecker has his moments with the whole thing with, like, his inhibitor chip, I'm pretty sure it was, where, like, he hit his head and then he, like, tried to kill everyone. That was cool, see, with the inhibitor chip, but that's pretty much the only scene he has. He has a cool dynamic with Omega, but that's it to him, really. As for Tech, he's even less. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a single scene that Tech got that really developed his character. He was more just there to be the smart one in the group. Then that's it. He didn't have any character development, really. But you know, that's fine. I get that they were trying to focus on other characters, but it's just sad. So I hope with season 2 we'll get more development with them. And Echo, I would say Echo was the least developed in this, but he had development in the Clone Wars. But that still doesn't mean that he didn't get any here. He was just really a background character, honestly. So yeah, I think that was the show's biggest flaw, was its characters. But I get, or like some of the characters. Some of the characters are really good, like Crosshair. That was a pretty bad segue. But Crosshair was definitely my favorite character in this whole show. I feel like, especially with the finale, I feel like his arc is really well done. The ending is kind of weird to me, though. It ended with, like, him still not being with his brothers, but them being on kind of good terms. It was kind of weird, but I still liked the resolution. and I feel like he's just a really complex character that if they give him a lot more screen time in season 2, I think I'll like him even more. And lastly, for the main cast, I'm pretty sure, is Omega. So for Omega, I have a lot of mixed feelings. At the beginning, I absolutely despised her. She was probably, the Star Wars characters tier list I did? If the Bad Batch characters were on there, she would have probably been in bad tier, below Rey maybe even. So just let that sink in. I thought she was really bad, just an annoying kid character. But then as the show went on, she grew on me a lot more than I thought she would. And I honestly think that part of it's because of her time with the Bad Batch. I feel like her time with the Bad Batch helped her, mature in a way, but still keep her same personality of wanting to help everyone. There was some things, though, where I felt like she went over the top. So in episode 13, she wanted to help this, bounty hunter, not a bounty hunter, but one of those people like that. They took over Sid's shop. If you guys watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. She wanted to help him when he was about to get murdered by, what were those things called? If you watch the episode, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, why are you helping him if he tried to, harm you and stuff? I get that he has a backstory to him, but that doesn't matter. He still tried to harm you. Why would you go out of your way to help him, right? And episode 6, I could get past that because she's just she's a kid. She's naive, right? I could get past that. But episode 16, or I guess today's episode, the finale, I thought it was a pretty solid episode. But one thing that I absolutely hated about it was at the end-ish, when AZ, the little robot guy, was trying to, he was trying to, guide the Bad Batch and Omega to the surface, he, powered down, so she got out of the thing, jeopardized her own life to save him, and she jeopardized their escape. So I was like, why did you do that? It's like you're backtracking back to what you were before. I get wanting to help AZ, right? She was her friend as soon as she came to the world or whatever. So I get that, wanting to go back for him. But one, he said he was done and fulfilled his purpose. And two, she's put the Bad Batch through so much trouble. They were about to get away, and mind you, it's an urgent situation. All of Kamino is exploding, and all the debris everywhere, whatever. So they need to get out of there. And and the Bad Batch, of course, go back to save her because they care about her. But I don't know, she's just jeopardizing them. She goes back to her old, naive ways, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But I guess I kind of went on a tangent there. But to end my discussion on Omega on a positive note, her also being a clone is an interesting concept. And I feel like she has potential to develop into a greater character with Season 2. So, yeah. Another positive thing that I have to say about this show is the side characters. So that's Hauser, Rex, Gregor, Cad Bane. I feel like they were all great additions to the series. Cad Bane didn't really do much at the end of the day. But Rex, did I mention Rex? But, I feel like Hauser was the best of the side characters. I liked how he rebelled against Order 66, and it looks like he's trying to create an uprising on Ryloth, with the rest of the clones. So I think we'll get that in season 2. So I want to see more of that. And Gregor only appeared in one episode, but he was also a great addition because it led the Bad Batch to like learn more about the stormtroopers and like about them being replaced. Which, if you ask me, I get that the Empire wanted more numbers, but the clones are way more skilled, honestly. So I don't understand why they just wouldn't keep the clones. What's another character? Rex was good, but he didn't really do much at the end of the day. Sid, the person that they took missions from, yeah, not much to say. She was interesting enough. And Nala Se, I feel like she's gonna be a massive part of season 2. I'll get to that in my season 2 prediction part of the video. But yeah, Nala Se is interesting. I'll just say that. And I wish Cad Bane had more to do, but he was fine. And Fennec was kind of the same, I guess. And as for the main villain of the season, Admiral Rampart, I feel like he was actually pretty good. I thought he was just gonna be like, a generic little like Grand Moff Tarkin knockoff, but he was pretty good. I mean, he didn't like he wasn't like super complex or anything, but he was menacing enough. His dynamic sort of thing with Crosshair was nice, and especially with Crosshair like coming to terms with like not being needed. I still don't know if he fully sees that he's not needed by the Empire, and I feel like once he sees that, then that's when he'll become loyal with his brothers. But I feel like Admiral Rampart will play a part in that as well. Like, he might meet... I would love... This is kind of going into Season 2 a bit, but I would love for Crosshair to face off against Admiral Rampart in Season 2 and then kill him. That would just be... That'd be great for his character. But, yeah, Admiral Rampart was menacing enough. There wasn't, like, a huge, like, thing with his character, but he was menacing, and he was a good villain. People... I know Star Wars Theory and... people like that were hoping for maybe like Boba Fett or Darth Vader, which, don't get me wrong, that would have been cool. I kind of wanted that as well, but looking back on it now, I kind of feel like it's kind of out of place for them to be there, if that makes sense, because it's kind of just, because that would take away from the Bad Batch's story in a way, right? Is focusing on other character cameos, if that makes sense, right? I mean, not again, not to say that I don't want them in there, but I just don't know if that would have been the best choice. So I think the biggest negative, aside from all the ones that I've already mentioned, is the runtime of the series. I think 16 22-minute episodes is good for a season to flesh out these characters, right? At least it should have been. But no, there was way too much filler in this season. That's the worst problem it had. Episode 13 especially, what was the fucking point of that? I'm sorry. There was no point to that episode. There was no character growth, and it was just a Sid mission right before the 3 finale episodes. Like, come on, what was the point there? Especially after the Ryloth arc, which was, like, I really enjoyed. And think about it. Not having those pointless filler episodes, and some of them weren't, like, full filler, but you could have really gone without them, or at least packed more into them. If you packed more into the episodes, you could have had time for tech development, record development. You could have fixed so much of the problems that I have with this show, right? So yeah, filler was definitely the show's worst thing, but that being said, I still really enjoyed it, right? So yeah, if there's one thing that Season 2 needs less of, is pointless filler segments, or even entire episodes, like episode 13. So, that was my segue into what I want to see in Season 2, or at least what I think we're gonna see. So one thing I think is absolutely certain is more with Crosshair and the Batch. Like, I think we'll definitely see Crosshair get back with the batch. But I feel like he'll go through a lot of growth to get there first. So it's not just gonna be like, lol, I'm good now, so I'm gonna join you. No, he's gonna go through development, and there'll be a reason for him to come back if he does end up coming back. And another thing I think we'll see is with the Mandalorian, with Moff Gideon and all that. I think they're building up with Grogu to taking his blood and stuff to, like, that's how they cloned Palpatine or created a Palpatine clone in some way. So I think that's what they want to have Nala Se begin to work on, is the cloning, so that they can clone Palpatine, or at least I think that's how he was back in Episode 9, and how they created Snoke and all that. So I think that's what we'll see, and I think that's the overall point of this show, because that's the one thing the show really needs, is, like, more of a point, is because, like, there wasn't much of a point. The one thing I can see is they could have Omega in future projects. I feel like Omega is going to appear in a lot more, but the Bad Batch I feel like are just contained to this series. I don't think they'll appear in anything else. So if there's one thing this show needs to give it more of, like, a reason to be here, is it needs to, I think it should tie into the Mandalorian with the cloning and stuff. But yeah, another thing I hope to see, like I said, is Crosshair face Rampart. That would be amazing. I want to see more clones rebel against Order 66 and the Empire. That would be great. To see Hunter and Omega's dynamic progress, so that Omega can develop more. That would also, I think that's a guarantee, really. And I just hope that they give development to Wrecker, Echo, and Tech, because they're as much as a part of the Bad Batch as Hunter, Omega, and Crosshair are, right? So you need to give them development too. Yeah, that's pretty much all I really have to say in terms of predictions, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I have to say for the review in general, I guess. As for the score, I'd probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's a good show, but it has flaws with with filler and pacing and all that. So, like I said, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, you guys are amazing, and I like what you're doing with Star Wars. Just tone down on the filler for season 2, please. As for where the Bad Batch goes on the tier list, I'd say right there behind Rogue One is a good spot for it. It's an amazing show. I wouldn't consider it like I wouldn't consider it obviously on the tier of Mandalorian or Return of the Jedi, New Hope, but it's a good show, and I don't think it deserves to be quite on the good tier. So I think Amazing is an okay spot for it. But just to go over some other changes that I made, now in Bust My Nuts, instead of Mandalorian and Revenge of the Sith, is Revenge of the Sith and Empire Strikes Back, because I rewatched Empire Strikes Back, and it's a great film. It's even better than I originally thought when I first viewed it. So, Mandalorian's still amazing, though. Return of the Jedi, New Hope, Clone Wars, Rogue One, they're all amazing as well. Good. Rebels I put in here because the episodes that are good as fuck, but there's also terrible ones. Attack of the Clones gets too much hate. The romance stuff sucks, yeah, but the establishment for the Clone Wars with Jango Fett and stuff, I actually liked. Solo, I haven't actually watched the movie, believe it or not, but from the clips I've seen and from what I've heard, it's good, and it's just a solo Star Wars movie, so couldn't imagine why it wouldn't be good. Decent is Phantom Menace, only because I love Qui-Gon Jinn, really. That's pretty much it, to be honest. And the Jedi Council stuff is good too. Force Awakens, it's a far from perfect film. I get why people would put it in bad or absolute garbage, but I feel like it was fine. Yeah. It, because I say it's fine because it didn't completely shit on the old movies as much as 9 and 8 did. So bad is 9. I think it's a bad film, but it's not an absolute garbage because I liked the scene with Kylo Ren and Han. And Adam Driver's acting really carried the movie for me. That's the only reason preventing it from being absolute garbage. It basically ruins the originals, and the only reason why it's not down here, the only other reason is because the cloning is hopefully gonna make Palpatine's return, not invalidate Anakin's sacrifice. Hopefully, yeah. In absolute garbage, we have Last Jedi. I heard that Rian Johnson's making a new trilogy. I think that he can succeed in that because it's not with old recurring characters. So I think he's good there. I think he's a good filmmaker, but just with these characters, he sucks ass. The movie was dog shit. I'm sorry, Ryan, but it was. It completely shits on Luke Skywalker, and shits on Leia, and it ruins pretty much everything, right? And the only thing worse than that is Star Wars Resistance, because it's just a garbage kids show. But yeah, that's the tier list.